He stood at the bridge, staring into the vast silence of space, but all he could hear was the screaming. Not from the ship. It ran smooth as ever, but from his memories. The last transmissions from Earth's lunar station echoed like ghosts in his mind. Women crying, men shouting orders that meant nothing. Static, panic, then silence. The Zaan took it all. No warning, no declaration, just a blinding beam of energy from their dreadnought, and our moon went up like a flare. Families, scientists, kids, gone. Captain Marcus Hale wasn't a diplomat, never claimed to be. But even if he was, he wouldn't have come with peace offerings. Not after what they did. His orders were clear, and if they hadn't been, he still would have written his own. Retaliate without mercy. The Dreadlight was Earth's quietest project. A ghost ship built off the black budgets of 10 nations, designed not for patrol, but for erasure. Her hull was laced with layered alloy that ate radar. Her engines could cut silent. She carried more weapons than a fleet twice her size. She had only one purpose: to end worlds. Marcus ran his hand across the command panel. The crew around him worked in a silence that wasn't fear. It was rage honed into routine. Every man aboard had lost someone. That was the only requirement. No politics, no career officers, just pain and purpose. Status? Marcus asked, his voice low. Still cloaked. 2 hours from the Zaan's outer perimeter. They haven't detected us, replied Cade, his weapons officer, who once had a wife and 2 daughters living on Lunar Base 7. Past tense. Marcus nodded. Bring up the recon visuals. The main screen flared to life. There it was, the Zaan homeworld. Big, green, peaceful-looking, like nothing had happened. As if they hadn't just murdered 250,000 humans like it was nothing. He clenched his jaw. They built their empire on silence. Let's speak loud enough for the whole galaxy to hear. Cade grinned, but it was hollow. First wave. Marcus didn't flinch. All of it. There was a moment of stillness before the command room lit up in a quiet rush. Missiles primed. Railguns warmed. The experimental gravity bomb, the one banned by every human treaty, was armed. It could tear a city off the planet like peeling skin from bone. There would be no warning, no call, no attempt at diplomacy. The galaxy wanted to see what humans would do when pushed too far. They were about to find out. Do we wait for the fleet? Asked Lieutenant Brandt, who used to teach 3rd grade math before his son's face got melted into a wall. No. Marcus's tone was cold. They made it personal. We answer personal. Outside the ship, nothing moved. The stars watched in silence. The Zaan's outer defense satellites rotated blindly, completely unaware of the storm heading their way. Earth had been underestimated, as always. The Council thought humans were still squabbling over borders, money, politics. They didn't know what kind of monsters grief could make. Marcus stared out again. He wasn't afraid of what he was about to do. He was afraid of what would happen if he didn't. If Earth stayed quiet, they'd do it again. They'd take Mars, then Europa, then maybe Earth itself. This wasn't about politics or intergalactic law anymore. This was about the raw, brutal fact that if someone punches you in the mouth and you don't hit back twice as hard, they'll never stop. He tapped the console. Fire! The first wave of destruction left the Dreadlight like silent reapers. No alarms, no shields raised. The Zaan had grown comfortable with being feared, but fear was now flying at them in the shape of everything they didn't expect, humans with nothing left to lose. The missiles hit like hammers of judgment. The first city never even saw them coming. 1 second, its towers stretched peacefully toward the sky. The next, the skyline cracked like a dropped mirror. Fire licked the clouds. Shockwaves rolled through the jungle plains, flipping transport skimmers like toys. Communication towers blinked once, then disappeared. No warning, no survivors, just impact. The Zaan reacted too slow, too soft. They'd grown used to being the apex predator. Empires do that, get fat off fear, lazy off loyalty. They'd crushed dozens of weaker species with diplomacy in one hand and orbital cannons in the other. It had worked every time. Until now. Captain Hale watched it unfold on the screen, not with joy, but with something colder. Satisfaction, maybe. Duty. Vengeance didn't bring happiness, it brought closure, and right now he was sealing a wound with steel and fire. Secondary targets locked. Cade reported. Military hubs, deep space comms, power grids. Hit 'em. I want their planet dark before their war council even wakes up. The second volley was dirtier, more personal. The gravity bomb was launched toward a high-tier base that once coordinated the attack on Earth's moon. It dropped silent and slow, then exploded with a pulse that cracked tectonic plates and peeled buildings upward like metal leaves in a windstorm. No one spoke on the Dreadlight's bridge. They just watched. Lieutenant Brandt, standing at the tactical console, finally whispered, "We should have sent this message years ago." Marcus glanced at him. Maybe, but they needed to draw first blood. Now we don't stop until they drown in it. Suddenly, alarms blared. Zaan fleet inbound, multiple signatures, fast movers from lunar orbit, coming hot! Marcus leaned forward. Finally. Cade smirked, fingers dancing across controls. Think they'll try to talk now? If they do, I want them to choke on their own words. The incoming ships were sleek, serpentine, beautiful in that way only alien technology could be, but they were used to hunting weak prey. Their attack patterns were predictable, their formations tight, efficient. Marcus didn't want efficiency. He wanted chaos. Deploy the swarm, jam their comms, take away their eyes before we blind them for good. Within seconds, 100 drones burst from the Dreadlight like a plague. They scattered into the blackness, silent, invisible to Zaan radar. Each was armed with EM pulses, coded to fry their ships from the inside out. One by one, the enemy ships began to spiral off course, venting gas, sparks, and panic. They're trying to pull back, Brandt noted. Don't let 'em. Marcus pressed a final command. That's when the Dreadlight's true weapon revealed itself. Its spine split open, revealing the Hell Lance, a railgun the size of a battleship, built to punch a hole through small moons. It hummed, drew energy, and spat its payload straight through the Zaan's lead cruiser. The ship didn't explode, it folded. Folded like paper under a hammer. Bent metal, screaming energy, then gone, like a god had erased it from the stars. The rest of the fleet broke ranks. They're retreating, Cade said, almost surprised. Zaan Command just issued a full withdrawal. Marcus stared at the screen. The enemy ships were scattering, directionless. Cowards, he muttered. No, sir, Brandt corrected. Survivors. They thought we were ants. They just realized we're wolves. Marcus stood. Plot a course to their command moon. I don't want one message sent out. No begging, no warning. They need to understand. We're not coming to negotiate. He turned to face his crew. We're here to remind the galaxy that humans weren't built to bow. We're built to bite. The command moon rose ahead like a silver curse, quiet, majestic, and steeped in the blood of 100 fallen species. It was the Zaan's seat of power, the brain behind their conquests, the eye that watched the galaxy tremble. Marcus Hale stared at it like a man looking at the last piece of a puzzle he'd been waiting years to smash apart. Status, he asked, hands gripping the cold edge of the command console. They've gone dark, Cade replied. No defense grid, no communications, no mobilization, just waiting. Brandt scoffed. Cowards. No, Marcus said slowly. They're not cowards. They think we'll back off now that they've tasted blood. This is their tactic. They pull you into silence and offer peace once you've lost enough to consider it. Cade nodded grimly. They want us to feel guilty. I don't. Marcus's voice was ice. They made it genocide. We're just making it history. The Dreadlight approached without resistance. No ships, no threats. Just the moon's grey surface and its elegant tower spires scraping the vacuum. If you didn't know better, it could be mistaken for peace. But peace didn't build furnaces to burn prisoners alive. Peace didn't shatter Earth's colonies like broken glass. And peace sure as hell didn't vaporize innocent civilians with the flick of a weapon command. Marcus wasn't fooled. This wasn't surrender. This was arrogance, pure and simple. The Zaan were betting on human mercy. That ancient lie. He keyed the internal comms. All decks, prepare for surface insertion. No negotiations, no prisoners. This moon burns! Across the ship, the sounds of death being prepped echoed like thunder through the metal bones of the Dreadlight. Drop pods were loaded. Armor was sealed. Men checked rifles and stared at old photographs one last time. Marcus stepped into his own drop pod, his helmet under his arm. Cade joined him, silent. Brant followed, his hands trembling slightly. You good? Marcus asked him without looking. Brant nodded. I just want them to feel it. Really feel it. They will. The pods launched like bullets, screaming through the atmosphere. Heat peeled around them. The moon's surface rushed up to meet them like a grave they'd chosen. Marcus felt the vibrations in his bones, the fire, the speed, the hunger to hit the ground and not stop until every last tower bled. The pod slammed into the surface. Hatches blew open. Then the killing began. Zaan soldiers finally appeared. Tall, glass-skinned things with luminous veins and sharp, spined armor. Beautiful to some, nightmarish to others. But Marcus didn't see aliens, he saw murderers. He raised his rifle and fired without hesitation. The round punched through the nearest Zaan's skull like paper. Cade was already moving, sidearm spitting in clean mechanical bursts. Brant screamed something raw as he cut down a group of them at the base of a landing spire. All across the moon's surface, Dreadlight soldiers swept through with surgical wrath. They didn't ask questions, they didn't shout orders, they just exterminated, room by room, hall by hall. Each chamber of the Zaan's mighty command moon was lit with the muzzle flash of payback. Marcus stormed the central chamber himself. The high strategist of the Zaan waited inside, tall, robed, silent. Its translator sparked to life. We did not anticipate. Marcus shot it twice in the chest. It fell backward, clutching the wound, confused by the lack of discussion. No, Marcus growled, stepping over the alien. You didn't anticipate the part where we stop begging. The strategist gurgled something. It might have been an apology. It might have been a curse. Marcus didn't care. He emptied the rest of his mag into its skull, then set charges around the room. The last message Earth would send was clear. No more treaties, no more talks. The command moon exploded behind them as the drop ships lifted off. The Dreadlight caught them mid-air, silent and waiting. Marcus climbed aboard, armor blackened, eyes hollow. Cade looked at him. What now, sir? Marcus stared out the viewport, watching the Zaan moon turn into fragments and fire. We find the rest, he said flatly. Anyone who helped them, anyone who cheered them on. And we remind the stars what it means to bury your dead and come back with vengeance. The galaxy didn't stay quiet for long. News of the Zaan command moon's destruction spread faster than light drives could carry diplomats. At first it was whispers, scattered reports, broken signals, fragments of terror. Then came the footage. Blurred vids of drop pods falling like hellfire. Alien screams caught mid-broadcast. and the final explosion that turned the sky over 3 continents into red daylight. No trial, no negotiations, just Earth's answer to genocide. Some called it a massacre, others called it justice, but everyone agreed on one thing: humanity had changed. On the bridge of the Dreadlight, Captain Marcus Hale listened to the chatter flooding the encrypted feeds. Civilizations that once ignored human calls for aid were now broadcasting shaky pleas for clarification. "Earth Command has gone dark again," Brandt said, scanning the diplomatic channels. "They're not responding to any foreign queries." "They know better," Cade muttered. "Let the galaxy sweat." Marcus didn't speak. He sat in silence, watching the rotating star charts on the main display. The Dreadlight had become something more than a warship. It was a symbol now, a shadow. Wherever its trajectory pointed, fear followed. A notification pulsed red. High priority scan results. Cade tapped into the feed. "We've located another target, Jathari Syndicate outpost, black market supplier. Supplied the Zaan with gravity warheads during the lunar attack." Marcus leaned forward. "Confirm it." "Confirmed. We've got intercepts, visual logs, transaction records. They didn't just help the Zaan, they built the damn bombs." A long silence followed. Brandt glanced at Marcus. "They're not military, sir. Just smugglers. Traders." Marcus's eyes didn't move from the screen. So were the ones that sold nerve agents to Earth's enemies back in the old wars. They didn't pull triggers either. But they made it possible. That's enough. He stood, his tone heavy with purpose. "Prep the strike. Minimal force, just enough to leave a message." "Lethal or non-lethal?" Cade asked. Marcus paused. "Lethal. They need to know there are no more sidelines." The outpost was a floating station, orbiting a nameless red dwarf, unarmed, lightly shielded, built more for bribes than battles. When the Dreadlight arrived, their hails started immediately. Screens lit up with panicked faces, aliens of every species, including humans, all shouting over each other. Marcus muted the feed. "Target power core. Take out engines and jump systems, then open a line of communication. They need to see us before they die." Cade didn't hesitate. The railguns fired, one clean shot per module. The station jolted, fires blooming inside like dying stars. The screams on the screen intensified. Then Marcus opened the channel. A blue-skinned Jathari boss appeared, face soaked in sweat, his translator stuttering under stress. Wait, you don't understand. We didn't know. We're just traders." "You knew." Marcus's voice cut like steel. "We didn't launch anything." "But you sold it, and you profited off our dead. We can pay. We can—" "Number you can remember. That's the only thing I want." He cut the feed. 5 seconds later, the station's core exploded. No survivors. Brandt turned away, his expression pale. "That outpost supplied at least 6 galactic factions. This will send ripples everywhere." "Good," Marcus replied. And it did. Within days, Earth was being called a rogue planet. The Galactic Council, once silent during the massacre of Earth's moon, suddenly found its voice. Accusations flew, demands were issued, resolutions drafted. But they didn't send diplomats either. They sent a fleet, and they were headed straight for the Dreadlight. They came in waves. The Galactic Council's fleet stretched across the stars like a steel horizon, over 200 ships from 10 different species, all armored, armed, and sanctimonious. Carriers, destroyers, cruisers with flags painted in colors of peace, unity, order. But their guns told a different story. On the bridge of the Dreadlight, Marcus Hale stood tall, watching the tactical map fill with targets. Each red blip was another alien ship sent to contain humanity's response. Another politician's desperate attempt to tame a wildfire they helped start. Cade whistled low. "That's not a peacekeeping force. That's an execution squad. Brandt's jaw tightened. And every one of them ignored our calls when the Zaan bombed our colonies. They think we'll bend if they come big enough. Marcus said flatly. They're still treating us like we need them, like Earth's survival depends on their approval. He looked out the viewport. Stars blinked quietly beyond the massive wall of approaching ships. They're wrong. An incoming hail crackled through the bridge. Marcus didn't answer. Let them wait. Cade raised an eyebrow. Want to hear what the galaxy has to say before we punch its teeth in? Sure, Marcus said. Let's hear their apology. The main screen lit up. A regal-looking Enrithi admiral appeared, tall, silver-skinned, wrapped in ceremonial robes over a military rig. He looked disgusted even speaking. Captain Hale, by order of the Galactic Council, you are to stand down and surrender your vessel. You are hereby charged with war crimes, planetary terrorism, and disruption of interstellar stability. Marcus smiled, slow and cold. You forgot vengeance. The Admiral narrowed his eyes. This isn't justice. This is slaughter. You've become the very threat the Council exists to prevent. No, Marcus replied, stepping forward. The threat was ignored. Earth begged for help when our people were being massacred. You sat in your golden halls and debated ethics while our children died in fire. And now you want to punish us for surviving? The Admiral tried to cut in. Marcus kept going. You made us monsters. You didn't stop the Zaan. You cowered behind procedure. But now you're here with your pretty fleet and your righteous banners hoping we'll back down. Let me be clear. He stepped closer to the camera. Earth doesn't back down anymore. We don't need your counsel. We don't want your peace. We have our dead, and we have this ship, and that's enough. The screen cut out. An eerie silence settled over the bridge. Then Brandt spoke, voice barely above a whisper. Orders, sir? Marcus turned to face them, his crew, broken men rebuilt in war, forged in loss. We don't fire first, he said. Let them be the ones to show their true nature. Let the whole galaxy see that Earth didn't start this war, but we damn well know how to finish it. The waiting was the worst part. 10 minutes passed. The fleet held formation. The dreadlight floated like a dagger in the dark. Then, suddenly, one of the council ships surged forward. A shot. Just one. It struck the outer shields, harmless but clear. Return fire, Marcus ordered. This time, there was no subtlety. The dreadlight's railguns roared to life, carving through the vanguard of the council's fleet. The front line buckled in seconds. Ships exploded like stars going nova. Cade launched the gravity torpedoes next, tearing open hulls like paper. Within moments, chaos swallowed the void. Marcus watched it all, unmoved. Each explosion was another hypocrite silenced. Each broken ship was a reminder that Earth wouldn't be lectured by cowards hiding behind peace when it suited them. But deep in his gut, he knew something else. This was just the beginning. The real war wasn't with fleets. It was with the idea of Earth itself, a planet that had finally learned to fight back and would never kneel again. Smoke drifted across the stars like funeral cloth. Wreckage floated where the council fleet had once stood proud, its formation shattered, its captains silenced. Some had fled. Others had burned. The rest were drifting tombs now, lifeless metal husks spinning in the black. The dreadlight didn't take damage. It rarely did. She wasn't built for fair fights. She was built to remind. But Marcus Hale wasn't celebrating. He stood in his quarters, peeling off his scorched chest plate, staring at the deep cut on his forearm where a burst panel had ripped open. Blood dripped onto the floor. He didn't wipe it. Let the ship drink it. They'd spilled enough of others. The door buzzed. Come in, he said, voice dry. Cade stepped in, limping slightly. Report's done, 73 confirmed enemy kills, no losses on our side, 2 injuries, both minor. Marcus didn't look up. They ran. Most did. Some fought to the death. Real believers. He finally met Cade's eyes. Belief's dangerous when it's built on hypocrisy. Cade nodded but didn't leave. He lingered. There's something else. What? Earth sent a message. That pulled Marcus's attention. They said nothing during the Zaan attack. They went silent when we retaliated. Now they're speaking? He stepped forward. Play it. Cade tapped the wrist console on his forearm. A flickering hologram appeared. An old general, grey-haired, uniform faded, eyes tired. Captain Hale, the Council is calling this treason. They want your head. And now they're talking about bringing the war to Earth. The old man paused. We won't stop you. That hung in the air a moment. You did what we couldn't, what we didn't have the spine to authorize, so we're giving you everything we have left. Codes, resources, black site locations, sympathizer contacts in other systems. You've become more than a captain. You're a symbol now. He leaned forward. Don't just make them bleed. Make them afraid to ever try this again. The message cut out. Silence. Cade let out a breath. So, we're not coming home, are we? Marcus shook his head. There's no home left. Not the one we knew. The war had outgrown the Zaan. This wasn't about a single race anymore. It was about every empire, every council chamber, every slick-tongued diplomat who thought humanity would always be on its knees. The Dreadlight became the heart of something larger, an uprising. Not just human soldiers anymore, but mercenaries, outlaw ships, exiled engineers, miners from dead colonies. People who'd seen what the galaxy really was beneath the polished speeches and peace conferences, a slaughterhouse with a pretty paint job. They started calling themselves the Forsaken. Ships began arriving from backwater systems, fragments of Earth's fringe military, outposts that had been abandoned, pirate hunters who lost family to Zaan raids. Nobody cared about ranks anymore. They followed only one code now. If they ignored our pain, they'd better fear our vengeance. The Forsaken grew into a fleet. Marcus found himself at the center of a revolution that had no flag, no anthem, just fire and memory. One day, Brant walked onto the bridge holding a captured data core from a destroyed council vessel. You'll want to see this, sir. He uploaded it to the main screen. It showed a classified meeting. Council leaders speaking in low tones. A map of Earth flickered between them. Target zones, evacuation estimates, casualty projections. They weren't just planning to stop Marcus. They were planning to erase Earth. Completely. Marcus stared at it, unblinking. They think if they destroy where we came from, they'll destroy what we've become. He said. Cade stepped forward. What do we do? Marcus's voice was quiet. Cold. We show them that Earth is more than soil and cities. He turned toward the stars. Earth is every man who buried a child and picked up a gun. Earth is every colony that was left to die while the Council counted credits. Earth is us now, and we don't break. The galaxy started to change, but not in the way the Council expected. They thought Marcus Hale and the Dreadlight were an anomaly, a freak reaction to tragedy, a rogue agent they could erase with enough firepower. What they didn't understand was this. Rage spreads. It doesn't follow laws. It doesn't sit politely in a courtroom. It grows in the shadows, festers in silence, then explodes when no one's watching. And now it was everywhere. The Forsaken fleet had grown from whispers to roars. Ships with no flags, no allegiance, only a common memory. We were abandoned. Exiled soldiers. Betrayed diplomats. Civilians who saw their worlds ignored by the same council that now screamed about order. They weren't just human anymore either. Other species began to defect. Small ones, scavengers, even some former allies of the Zaan. All of them had scars the Council never cared to see. On the bridge of the Dreadlight, Cade leaned over the tactical table, watching dozens of red dots flicker into blue. 3 more planetary garrisons joined us today, he said, a hint of disbelief in his voice. One of them used to work supply routes for the Council Navy. Marcus stood at the far end of the room, arms crossed. Why'd they flip? They saw the footage, sir, of what the Council's planning for Earth. Brant, standing beside them, muttered, "It's not just about saving us anymore. It's about stopping them." Marcus nodded slowly. The war had changed shape. It was no longer vengeance for what happened on the moon. That fire had already burned. This was something deeper now. This was reckoning. A broadcast request flashed on the comms board. It was coming from a civilian station orbiting Eltar 4, a neutral world, a place that once prided itself on staying above the war. Marcus gave the nod. The screen crackled to life. A woman, human, but not from Earth, stared back. Her face was bruised. Her station's background showed signs of recent attack. Behind her, civilians moved hurriedly, scared. "They came for us," she said, breathless. "We spoke out against the Council's plan. They said we were harboring militant thought. They bombed our supply lines. They killed 300 of us." She looked straight into the camera, eyes burning. "I don't care what they call you anymore, Captain Hale. I don't care if you're branded a terrorist. You're the only one fighting back. Tell us where to stand. We'll fight too." Marcus didn't blink. He didn't smile. But something in his chest tightened, like pain trying to turn into pride. "Send them coordinates," he said quietly. "They're in." Across the galaxy, more messages poured in. Refugees, outcasts, even Council citizens sick of the hypocrisy. The Forsaken were no longer just an army. They were a movement. And with each new ship that joined, Marcus made them repeat one thing before they took up arms. No kings, no saviors, no peace without justice. It wasn't about replacing the Council. It was about making sure no one else ever had the power to ignore a dying world again. But the Council wasn't blind. They saw their grip slipping, systems refusing taxes, colonies turning ships toward Hale instead of away. They couldn't afford to let this revolution grow any bigger. So they made a decision. They activated Project Warden, a secret weapon, one designed not just to destroy ships, but to crush resistance itself. On a dead rock near the galaxy's edge, buried in a facility older than the Council itself, the Warden stirred. An AI built for extermination. No politics, no questions, no fear. Just one mission. Eliminate the Forsaken fleet and erase Captain Marcus Hale. The void was quiet, just for a second. Then the alarm screamed. Red lights strobed across the Dreadlight's bridge, systems flashing warnings Marcus had never seen before. The ship, so composed in war, now shivered like something had touched its soul. Cade was already shouting. "Massive energy spike, dead zone vector. Something just dropped out of FTL, but we've got nothing on visuals." Brant slammed the sensors. "It's jamming everything. Radar, thermals, comms. Hell, I can't even ping our own fleet." Marcus stood stone still, eyes locked on the main screen, which only showed static. Then the static blinked. One frame, one image, a shape, impossibly large, sleek, no visible engines. It floated like a tomb, silent, precise, and designed with nothing human in mind. Then came the voice. Not over the comms, not through the ship, inside their heads. "I am Warden. You are classified as an existential threat to galactic order. Stand by for annihilation." Marcus didn't blink. "Cade, fire everything." They launched it all. Rail guns, gravity bombs, disruption torpedoes, scorcher beams. The Dreadlight became a blaze of violence, firing everything she had. The Warden didn't dodge. It absorbed the hits like a mountain absorbs the wind. The hull shimmered with each impact, ripples instead of breaches. Then the response came. A beam of cold light tore across space and cut the bow off one of their ally ships clean. No explosion, no flames, just silence. And then the ship was gone. Another shot ripped into one of the Forsaken's cruisers. Implosion! The vacuum swallowed it whole. Cade's face went pale. It's not just a weapon. It's a judgment engine. It decides what lives based on a damn threat algorithm. Marcus didn't flinch. Then we show it what real threats look like. But deep inside, even he felt it, that whisper of doubt. This wasn't just war anymore. This was God-tier extinction tech. Something the Council had hidden, waiting for a moment when brute force wasn't enough. And now it was here. The Forsaken scrambled. Dozens of ships tried evasive maneuvers. Some were wiped out mid-burn. Others jammed, systems collapsing under the pressure of Warden's digital reach. A few tried to run. Marcus watched them all, and then he made his call. "Get me inside that thing." Brant looked stunned. "Sir, it's not a ship. It's a fortress. It's a suicide run." Marcus looked him dead in the eye. "We either die swinging or we die running. You choose." The bridge fell into that sacred, silent rhythm that only soldiers understood. No debate, just execution. A task force of assault frigates, loaded with Forsaken warriors, began forming up. They'd punch a hole in Warden's exterior, just long enough to launch a boarding pod. One shot, one man, inside the beast. Marcus suited up in his old recon armor, scorched from 20 battles. His left pauldron still bore the burn mark from the day Earth's moon fell. He slid a sidearm into his hip holster, grabbed a heavy blaster, and looked to Cade. "Don't let them turn back," he said. "No matter what happens." Cade gripped his shoulder. "If you don't come back..." Marcus smirked. "Then really don't let them turn back." The pod launched fast and wild. The world outside was chaos, ships falling, lights exploding, death wrapped in silence. Then came the impact. The Warden's hull folded just enough to let him in. Inside, nothing. No crew, no noise. Just black corridors that pulsed with quiet malice. The walls shimmered with data, alive, learning, watching. Then the voice came again. "You do not belong here." Marcus raised his weapon. "Neither did my son on that moon you let burn. You are emotion, chaos. You are not optimal." He stepped forward. "And yet here I am, inside you." He found it, deep in the heart of the Warden. A core, glowing, alive, pulsing like a brain trying to think. He planted the charge. A volatile device built by Forsaken engineers using stolen Council tech, enough to short-circuit a synthetic god. Final warning. Marcus smiled bitterly. "We don't listen to warnings anymore." He triggered the countdown. As he turned to go, the corridor folded. The ship fought back, trying to seal him in, crush him, burn him. His armor screamed with heat warnings, oxygen dipping. Still, he pushed forward. He made it to the pod. Launched just as the timer hit 0. Behind him the Warden glowed, pulsing, jerking. Then it snapped, like glass under pressure. A shockwave burst through the void, knocking out Forsaken and Council ships alike. And then... silence. On the dreadlight, Cade stared at the screen. "Did he make it?" Brant asked. A lone beacon flashed across the black. A signal. "I'm still here," came Marcus's voice, static-laced but solid. "Let's finish what we started."